Hello and welcome to Should I Buy Games. My name is Connor Evans, and today I will be talking about Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1 is developer DICE's newest game in the long-running series. It's the first time in quite a while that we've jumped back to the past, but never has a first-person shooter taken on World War I. DICE goes where no man has gone before with Battlefield 1, and let me just say, it's one hell of a ride. The Battlefield series has had a few hiccups over its last few iterations, with Battlefield 4 having a more than rough launch, and Battlefield Hardline getting modest praise at launch, but failing to retain an audience months after release. As a lapsed fan of the series, I was extremely excited to hear that Battlefield would be tackling a historical setting this time around. It's crazy how something that in the 2000s became so bogged down and overdone like the World War II setting did, can have new life if you just gave it some time to breathe. DICE does a great job of capturing the brutal spirit of the Great War across single player and multiplayer. Sure, it's not 100% historically accurate, but it's a necessary precaution to make sure that the game was a blast to play. I want to start by talking about the campaign, which has had a spotty track record in previous Battlefield titles. Battlefield 1 takes a new approach with its campaign by foregoing the grandiose all-out shooter of old and in with a more intimate, character-driven campaign. The story is broken up between multiple characters fighting across the globe on different fronts of the war. It's a unique idea to tell these stories through these little vignettes, and even though they are short-lived, they still pack plenty of punch. Because of the brevity of each mission, I didn't feel like I had enough time to spend with all these characters, but I still think each story arc is full enough to be found enjoyable.
Fuck's sake, I thought you liked to bloody well fight! Hey, Edward! She likes it when you swear, boy! All right, Edward, rendezvous is past those hills at the distance.
Each character's mission takes place in a drastically different war zone, which allows you to get a taste of the different weaponry that is used on all fronts. The weapons in Battlefield 1 feel extremely different from what many of us are accustomed to with our Call of Duties and Titanfalls, so it's great to have a story that lets you try a wide array of them to find the ones that fit your playstyle. No matter what gun you may pick up, shooting, mechanically, feels satisfying as ever. One downside I noticed about the campaign was that the AI was exceptionally poor, making the campaign feel rather easy. Some of the time, enemies would come out of cover and just run straight at me, which is both hilarious and frustrating. I suggest setting the difficulty to a higher level to make the game slightly more challenging. When you aren't mowing down hundreds of adversaries with guns, you're doing it with a slew of different vehicles, and Battlefield 1's campaign makes sure you get a decent amount of time trying out each and every one of them. Vehicles such as tanks or planes are focal points of many of the stories, sometimes going as far as to force you into them. It can be a little frustrating to be constrained into one of these vehicles for a couple of missions on end, but there's still loads of fun to play. This grandiose scale translates exceptionally well over to multiplayer, which has always been a high point of the Battlefield franchise. The battles are huge and can be daunting, but they are a sight to behold every time you jump into one of Battlefield 1's 9 gorgeous maps. Almost every aspect of Battlefield 1's multiplayer reminds you that you are part of something bigger. Many times I found myself taking a moment to take it all in, watching planes go at it in the sky, tanks off in the distance leveling entire towns, and small skirmishes going on right at my feet. Every aspect is horrific and awesome, all at once. Oh, and did I mention that the game is beautiful? It's a nice touch that DICE puts so much effort and polish into how the game looks, and obviously strives to capture the look and feel of World War I. In multiplayer, you get much of the same to pick from, and that's okay. Conquest, where you fight to control various points on a vast open map, is still the core of the multiplayer. No mode better captures the feeling of all-out war than this. It takes a considerable amount of teamwork and coordination with your squad mates to effectively take points. This sense of teamwork just isn't displayed in its competitors, and it's a refreshing change of pace from what I'm so used to playing. The vehicles that range from horses to tanks are all super fun to use in these wide open areas, and all add to the chaotic gameplay of Battlefield 1. Rush is another mode in the game, and it's a great, faster paced supplement with only 2 capture and defend points for people who want something a little less hectic. Other than that, you have your basic domination and team deathmatch modes, and though they may seem like afterthoughts, it's still a nice addition for the people who want them. The main new mode that really stood out to me is Operations, which ties a couple of maps together and uses a war tale to tell a story based off of the outcome of the battles. It's a long commitment with some matches taking hours, but it's a worthwhile investment to play what feels like an actual war. As for what the game does wrong, there isn't a lot to talk about. With previous Battlefield games, progression wasn't great, and unfortunately, Battlefield 1 carries on this tradition. Class levels take way too long to achieve, and they are necessary to unlock all of the guns in the game. Guns feel rather varied, so it's a shame I have to put in a huge time commitment to get most of them. Another huge issue put a huge dent in my enjoyment of the game, and that's that the map design just flat out sucks. Maps range from wide open to ones with narrow passageways, so depending on which map you play on, certain playstyles just aren't as effective. It's something that doesn't kill the fun, but it's a glaring issue that I hope they fix in future DLC maps. We all knew Battlefield 1 was going to be good, but I think DICE even outdid my own extremely high expectations. Across the board, from its frantic multiplayer to its surprisingly deep and emotional but disappointingly short single player, DICE has delivered the full package that should keep players engaged on all fronts of the war. Battlefield 1 is a buy and one of my favorite games of the year. What did you think of Battlefield 1? Do you agree with me? Disagree? Why? Leave a comment below and tell me what you think. If you like what you heard and want to hear more, be sure to click that subscribe button to stay up to date on all Should I Buy Games content. And remember, let me waste money so you don't have to.